We are live. Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
We are Silver Brush Limited. I'm Warren Flax. This is my mother, Dee Silver.
Right.
Yeah, you can tell them who you are.
Thank you.
So we are happy that you joined us today. We've got some fun stuff to talk about, a little different than what we normally talk about. So for those of you that have seen a lot of our Facebook Lives, it's going to be a little bit of a different subject matter. We're going to talk about some unique shapes and sizes today. So specifically, some really wide brushes, what you can do with those. My mom's got a lot of exciting things to show you with that. We've also got some new products to share with you. I know everybody always likes to know about that, and you're going to hear about some things before anybody else today. Also, we talk about taking care of your brushes every couple of weeks, right? And we're going to go into that as well, like we always do. But in addition, today we're also going to talk about the proper storage of your brushes. So this is critical. In between uses, what are you doing with them? I know what not to do with them, and of course we'll talk about that. You don't want to get scolded by the brush lady for how you store your brushes, so make sure you're paying attention. And then, of course, everyone's favorite part, we're giving away free brushes. So we've got 3 different giveaways today. This set, this beautiful set, and I'll take the price there. You can show that. So we have a crystal wide wash there. We have a cutter hog bristle, and we have the best varnish brush you'll ever see. That's all one set, and that is an $81.30 value. That's US dollars, $81.30, the value of that set. So that's one of the giveaways. The second giveaway, and I'll take those out of your way, Mom, let me get started. The second giveaway are these 3 brushes. This is a crystal wide wash, a 1514 Edgewater wash, the white one, silver white, and then another cutter, the hog bristle brush for you. That set has a value of $52.25, also US dollars. And then, since we're talking about storage and we're telling you how to store your brushes, of course we have to give you an opportunity to do it properly. So this is a Tuscany case, short handle. See, in the Tuscany, it's got plenty of storage for your brushes. This is, of course, for short handle brushes, and that is a $20.35 value. So we'll be giving these away at the end. We go about 45 minutes, so stay tuned. So let me tell you quickly about who is speaking to you. This is Deirdre Silver, the founder of Silver Brush Limited. She started this company in 1990 in the basement of our home. My mother was working in the art material industry for many years before that, 13 to be exact, selling brushes among other things. And when that brush company went out of business, she stepped in, saw an opportunity for a high-quality brush company here in the United States, and so she brought some quality to this marketplace that had never existed before. And so now she is a world-famous speaker on this topic of artists' brushes. You've spoken all over the world, now of course doing it electronically as many folks do. But it's always a treat to learn new tips and tricks and things about brushes. And that's what we're here to share with you. We'd love to get questions from you. We'd love to get comments from you. Please engage with us. We have Kira, you've seen Kira off and on, and you'll see more of her coming forward as we're going to start to do even more training for you out there. Kira and I will both be monitoring the questions, so please fire away with those. We do get a lot, so if we miss your question, we apologize. But to that end, let's let you get started, and I'll start monitoring the questions.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time today. We have so many things to go over. At the end of every one of these Facebook Lives, I feel, oh, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. So the reality is I'm going to try and get to an awful lot today, but invariably I'm going to forget something, or I'm not going to get to all of the subjects that I really want to cover. So let's talk about it. You see different things all around here. Let's start with this over here. I don't know if you realize it, but our brushes have been painting the most prominent individuals in the world since I started the company. And this was one of the last paintings that were done in, well, no, not really. John Lewis was after this, but let me just say this. Our brushes typically paint the president and or the first lady of every administration since the Reagan administration. So
that's back to 1980.
That goes back to 1980, but lots of times they do the paintings later on in their lives, so not necessarily was it done in 88 when he left office. It may have been done in 90 or 92. That often happens. So this is the National Portrait Gallery's portrait of Michelle Obama, and this was done by a wonderful young artist. Her name is Amy Sherrill, and we're very proud of the painting that Amy has done with our brushes using our Renaissance series. That's pure red sable, and I believe she also used some silver white and some Grand Prix with that as well. And this is another First Lady. This is Lara Bush, and Lara Bush was done by none other than John Howard Sandon, who also did her husband, President Bush. And notice how beautifully this came out. This is actually in the White House collection. This is in the National Portrait Gallery. So I just think that we should blow our horn periodically and tell you how very highly our brushes are thought of. And yet, we have a lot of brushes for all of us. That's what's very important, that we just don't focus on brushes that can do the presidents and their first ladies, but I also want to focus on brushes for everyone, because that's who we are, and that's who our customer is. Understanding that who we are, our mom and pop. My son's in the business, my husband's in the business, so we understand folks that work with their family, care about the money that they spend. We understand that, and we're very, very conscientious about giving you the most bang for your buck in an artist brush.
You had a question?
Sure.
So those were oil paintings, right?
Always oils. Always oils.
What brushes were used for Lara Bush?
Laura Bush, yes. This is Grand Prix was used, and Renaissance series. John loves his Renaissance series. As a matter of fact, if you go back, maybe on YouTube, you can find it. John Howard Sandon was just featured on Sunday morning CBS, and they showed his whole palette, his whole layout in the studio, and all of our brushes were sitting there, and I was extremely excited. I, of course, was probably the only one that noticed it, but I still was extremely excited. Okay, let's get started. We got lots to talk about.
One other thing to point out to everyone, we have a lot of brush care tips for you online, so I did want to share this with you. Many of you ask about these tips that we share with you on Facebook and through Instagram and all the other places that we communicate with you. They are on our website as well, www.silverbrushcare.com. And of course, you're already following us on Facebook. Make sure you like and follow this page. On Instagram as well, we post a lot of these tips, so just want to make sure you have those resources for you. So what is going on here? This is not a cooking show.
No, it's not a cooking show.
Why did you bring plastic wrap and aluminum foil?
Well, so remember I said I'm going to show you what to do and what not to do. So what's the most important thing when you put your brushes away and you're taking them from your studio to home, or you're leaving them in your studio, or these days everybody's leaving the studio and they're talking to the artist online. So what has folks done? Now, I went on YouTube myself the other day, and I'm watching all these artists, and this is what I saw. I saw one artist who opened up her brushes like this, and she wanted to go use them. I saw another artist go like this and take her brushes out of aluminum foil, like this, and I thought, a segment for my Facebook Live. What are you doing when you're putting brushes like this? Do you know what you're doing? You're capturing moisture that's in the brush, and they can't breathe. That's basically the worst thing that you could do for your brush. I don't remember the name of the artist, so she's off the hook.
Well, we
but
wouldn't insult anyone.
No,
anyway,
we wouldn't.
obviously,
But the most important thing you can do is never do that with your artist brushes, because the last thing you want to do is keep the moisture on the brush instead of letting it air dry. That's the most important thing you have to do. So the best thing to do is let the brush, the moisture flow down, which is just as simple as what I'm doing here. Remember, by putting your brushes like I have here in my holder, when I put them in here, it's all dry. But if you do that when it's wet, where's the moisture going to go? The moisture is going to go into the ferrule, and then, even though we work very hard to give you a triple epoxy barrier within each one of the brushes, If you do this all the time, or you leave it wet like this and then you put it like this, you're going to create a moisture barrier that's going to erode the epoxy that's at the top of the handle, and it's going to start to crack the handle. You're the person that can control that. You're the person that can make your brushes last years and years longer. So you want to air dry, and you want to let the moisture go down. Same thing with the aluminum. Now you're probably thinking, oh, that's a good idea because it won't damage the brush and it keep the brush very nice. Nuh-uh. This actually also captures the moisture. And the problem is, once again, the moisture is going to stay in here instead of evaporating, and it's going to stay in the brush head, and then it's going to start eroding the epoxy that's in the ferrule, and then start cracking the handle. Our whole goal here is to give you a tool that is such a great quality that if I tell you how to take care of it, it's going to last you 10, 20, 30 years. That's my goal, because I know that there are a number of other brushes that you might want to put in your pile, and that's where we'll make up for the money. Or maybe you paint 10 hours a day and you actually can wear these brushes out after 15 years. You actually can do that. But the reality is, let's make them last longer. Let's do these tricks so that it lasts longer in your house. Okay, any questions there? Or you're good?
Yeah, we've got into them. We answered a bunch. There was a question about silica gel packs.
Okay.
Are you familiar with those?
No, I'm not.
Moisture? Okay.
Yeah, the silica, I know what you're talking about.
No. Products are stored and you receive them.
Right. Okay, silica gel packs are good. I have used those, and I do know what you're talking about. They put them in pills and things like that.
Yeah.
I would still let it air dry. I don't see a problem with silica gel packs, especially if you want to put it in a closed environment. But the worst thing you can be doing is putting these brushes in a closed plastic container.
So why don't you show the...
So, okay, I'll show these. But the worst thing you can do is put them, you go to the grocery store and you buy these plastic containers, or these big box stores, and you buy these plastic containers. Great, all my art supplies are going to go in there. Not great for brushes. Once again, there's no air going in there, there's no air circulating. Worst thing in the world for brushes. So I'm going to show you several storage cases that we have at Silver Brush. But there's lots of other alternatives in there. I'm not saying you absolutely have to buy one of ours, but they are a nice alternative. So Warren showed you this nice case. This is the Tuscany, and it holds brushes on both sides, and there's also holds brushes back here. We've got brochures back here, but you also can put brushes back there. So that's a very nice case. And how does it close? What's the advantage of this? It's breathable canvas. That's the most important thing. There is a piece of cardboard holding this together, but everything about it is breathable. The other thing you can do, you can leave it in your studio like that overnight and leave it open and let your brushes dry. Extremely important. Okay, and I'll show you a couple more cases.
Let's talk about timing. So I put the brushes out to dry overnight. So I work, I do my work, I'm done, I lay them out properly to dry like Ms. Silver told me to do. Okay, what's the time frame between when I do that and when it's then appropriate to put them upright? Because you're always telling folks never put your brushes upright when they're wet.
Right.
These, of course, are all 100% dry. How long do you think that typically
is? Now that's interesting.
Recognizing that different parts of the world have different humidity.
Sure. So I did a Facebook Live for Jerry's Autorama the other night, Tuesday night, and I left the brushes here and I left them flat at night. I will admit, like many of you, I didn't leave them in water or any fluid, but I didn't clean them properly that night. So I came in Wednesday morning and I washed all of my brushes, and yesterday morning, or this morning, they're still kind of moist, then I put them in my brush holder. So I usually wait about 24 hours before I do that. Then they still might be a little moist, but they're okay to put it in there. You don't want them to be dripping. That dripping is what's bad for the epoxy.
Great. Okay, and then once again, just a reminder, because you said it kind of quickly, the case that you're talking about here, our Tuscany or our Monaco case, these are breathable, which means air will get in. They're not sealed, so that way the brushes will not mildew. Your brushes will properly dry out if you have a good case, a breathable case like this Tuscany case or this Tote, which is also canvas.
Well, let me show you this one.
Long-handle
This is
Tuscany
this
case.
is a long handle Tuscany case.
Again, it's a breathable canvas. I'll get real tight in on it so you can see. You know, anything like this is what you want. You don't want anything that's airtight, like plastic wrap or plastic tins or plastic tubs, anything like that.
Right. Right.
Question: is it okay to tap the brushes dry on a tissue?
Yes, it's very good, as a matter of fact, because it takes off a lot of the external moisture. So when I go like this, which is what I did the other night, I then went like this to get all of, a lot of the moisture off, and it really helps get them to dry a lot faster. But I still wouldn't put this like this into the cup holder. I'd still put it like that to let it dry. But it's fine to clean it off. Remember, this is a lint-free cloth. You always want lint-free. You don't want to add any kind of particles or anything to the brushes, because then you first have to fight getting that off the brush the next time you want to go paint.
Can you put your brushes in vinegar?
That's the second question I've had relating to vinegar. Truthfully, I've never tried it. I wouldn't do it. To me, it would be drying to the brush, and I'd be very concerned that I take the lanolin out of the hair. So I would experiment with it. As a matter of fact, maybe you'll drop me a line, Warren, and I'm going to experiment with vinegar I have in my house, and we can see. One of the things I could see vinegar doing is maybe taking a bit of the pigment out of the hair. Maybe, basically I usually do that with some alcohol, and that comes right out with some alcohol. Not your favorite wine. You're not favorite wine. The kind you use for cooking for fish. Okay. So this is our Monaco case. Monaco has a plastic pouch over here, and you may be saying to yourself, well, you told me not to put it in plastic. And you'd be absolutely right. What you put in this plastic here, this is a watercolor case. So you put your watercolor brushes here so that they can live and they can breathe, and you put your watercolor tubes in here. If you use Frisket, if you use whatever it is you want to use, you put any kind of medium, it's like that. You put it in there, no brushes in there, and then you could let it air dry. And this is a breathable canvas case. So this is to preserve your brushes, so that if you spend $20, $30, $40 on a brush, of course you want it to last a very long time. And these are some of the tricks that'll help you keep it. Even
after the brush is dry, will there be moisture in the ferrule?
Could be. It very much could be. Yes, it could be. Depending on, if you've been painting and you hold the brush like this a lot and the moisture goes in there, could be. So the best thing to do, of course, is to try and get it to dry like this. If you can't get it to dry like this, then get it at least so that it's facing down as much as possible. And if you think it's moist and you're concerned about it, leave it there for another 24 hours. Okay? That's the best thing to do. Of course, never, ever, ever leave your brushes in water overnight or for any period of time. I've dealt with a number of different artists where, they're working very quickly, they're working with their artists, and they put their brushes in a big bucket like this, and they forget about it. They go to eat lunch or take care of one of their children or take care of somebody at the door or something like that, and the brush has been left in here for a very long period of time. It does become problematic.
What do you consider a long period of time?
A couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you try and go back to your studio before the end of your work session and at least get the brushes out of any moisture. Even if they're dirty, leave them flat so they're not sitting in moisture. Think about the life of your brush. Think about wood outside. Wood does have a lifespan. The
towel that you use to dry off, just to take the paint off of the head of the brush.
Yeah.
Is that anything special or specific?
No, it's just the towels that we buy for the office here.
Just a paper towel.
Yeah, I'm not a big paper towel fan because I don't want to chop down trees and stuff like that. So I actually use, for my own work, I use a kitchen towel, which is lint-free, and then I just wash it out, and it comes out. That's the kind of person I am. What can I tell you? I want to save the earth. This is one of my favorite storage cases. This is a breathable canvas. This is a double thick fabric case. It's got nice little pockets, and it's 100% breathable. Of course, there's no weight when you have something like this. It's got grommets so that you can hang it up in your studio or when you go out to paint. And the brushes fit easily in here. They will dry naturally, organically. Just do this and you roll it up, and it's easy as that. And the nice thing is air can circulate in this, unlike the plastic that I was showing you, unlike the aluminum I was showing you. Air will circulate in this, and they'll dry on their own. Again, try and leave it flat so that moisture isn't going into the ferrule, and it'll last a very, very long time. These are just some of my my items, but I'm sure there are others in the marketplace that you could find. The most important thing for this lesson is that you do not ever use plastic to store brushes. Paint, fine. You know, that's just going to stay really well, but not brushes. Brushes are a living being, so you really have to be careful that nothing happens to them, and then they'll last years and years and years. I can promise you that. So,
and that's called a tote, by the way.
Oh, excuse me, that's our travel tote.
No, you said it. I just wanted to repeat it.
Oh yeah, it even says
a travel tote.
It's our little travel tote. So we have this in both long and short handle. Very inexpensive. It's not a lot of money. You know, somewhere south of $15 US, and it's really a nice little item. So I did want to make sure that I had that discussion with you about about storage. Because
so we did have another question about a storage issue. Priya has mentioned it 3 times. I know, Priya, I'm sorry. You can see we get a lot of questions, but I'm glad you keep repeating it. So she stored her brushes and got bugs. The bristles were eaten by insects. Anything that can be done?
Yes.
She had it in a box with mothballs.
She had it in a box with mothballs?
Yeah. It's a natural hairbrush.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're very, very susceptible to moths and parasites, especially in warm weather. I would definitely try and put them in a cold area so that bugs can't get to it. So if you have a room that's colder than any others, or any kind of refrigeration that you can get it to, I would definitely try doing that. We use moth deterrent here. I actually have cedar blocks that I use cedar blocks here for ours, because we do have hot weather in the summer. I would definitely recommend it has to be a cold storage of some type. See if you can find an area or a space near you that you can store them in, and you know, just try. Bugs really can't get into something. Excuse me. Bugs really can't get into something like this. So you'd be okay with something like this. But I do understand the problem. Years ago, one of my competitors, many years ago, even before I was even had Silver Brush, moths got into his warehouse, and moths ate about $500,000 worth of inventory. So it's definitely a big thing. It really is. It's not a small issue. Cold is good, and mothballs are good. We call it moth deterrent. You want to use something that's a moth deterrent. Maybe what you're using is used out. Maybe it doesn't have enough moth deterrent in it anymore. They do lose their spunk, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Okay.
Let me move on.
I just want to remind everybody once again that these tips are on our website, silverbrushcare.com, and we share these in social media as well. All right, you're going to paint.
I'm going to show some very nice varnish brushes. I want to mention this brush. This is called the Ultimate Varnish Brush, but somebody helped me make this. You're never alone when you're making a product. Somebody by the name of Peggy Harris actually convinced me to make this wonderful varnish brush. It is the ultimate varnish brush. It really is. What's wonderful about this, it doesn't leave any bubbles as you're putting down varnish in the background. So I have a couple of different surfaces that I've brought. This is what I treated this with is some glazing varnish, and I'm going to put some varnish on here and let you see how this particular brush covers surface so beautifully. This is soft gel glazing varnish, and let me just put a little bit on here, Now usually folks usually use this with a palette knife, but I'm going to be using it with my brush. And I hope you can see that, how nicely it covers. No bubbles on this wooden board, and get a nice sheen on this. Though this is going to be a gloss finish, which is what I wanted, and I'll be able to paint over this any kind of painting that I wanted a gloss background on. But you really want to finish the wood panel before you really start on it, because it's going to absorb all the paint that you're using if you don't have any kind of background. Now look how nicely that does. What is important for you to realize is that this particular ultimate varnish brush does not leave any bubbles. I can't think of anything more annoying than trying to put down varnish of any kind on furniture or wood piece or canvas or anything. This is canvas, by the way.
So this brush is the ultimate varnish brush.
Right.
It's in our product line. It's number 2303.
Right.
1 inch is the size.
That's the only size it comes in.
And this is in our mop grouping,
right.
Our mop product line.
Right.
So the mops, the white goat hair, the black goat hair mops, this varnish brush goes along with those. So if you're searching online, you would look under silver mops to find the varnish brush.
Now, moving on. So what I wanted to show you was some other glazing and varnishing brushes. So this is brand new. I'm just taking the sizing out of it now. This is
What is sizing?
Oh, sizing is the material. Thank you. Sizing is the material we put into each one of the brushes so that it holds its shape. Most important thing is that it looks really terrific when it gets to the dealer's shelf, and you want it to look very, very nice
to the customer,
to our customers, and then they sell it on to artists. So what I've done is I've taken the sizing out. We use a vegetable sizing. We don't use any kind of animal byproduct at all. And I'm just going to take a little bit of water and get that out of there. And then I wanted to show you again putting down the varnish on the back, on the back of this board. Now this board will be ready to paint on when this dries, and it's drying very quickly. And notice how nicely the glazing comes out. Now what's important is that you have a brush that you're not fighting with. It's not going to leave lines, it's not going to leave bubbles, it's not going to leave streams of color. Notice how beautifully this lays down color. See that? So I've got a nice gloss on there, and let's see if you can see that. And it's going to dry so that I'll be able to paint on the surface of the board itself. And that's, I just used those two brushes. I probably didn't need to use both of them, but one of them would have just done very, very well. But I did want to show you how nicely that puts down color. Another brush that's also in that I love, and let me make sure I have that here. I just had it in my hand, and now I've put it down, and who knows where it is, because that's me. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, this is our silver silk. Now, silver silk is a very, very unique filament. When we do synthetic filaments, I usually do 8 to 10 different size diameters. And I think I've talked to you before about that, but maybe I should talk about it again. It's very important to know that you have a really fine quality brush.
Is the water next to you hot or cold?
This is, it should be hot.
No, but this that you're using here.
Cold.
Yeah.
That's cold.
One.
Yeah. So we use multiple diameter filaments in each one of our synthetic brushes, but what makes silver silk different is the fact that we've grooved all of the different size diameter filaments. So that's going to make color really sit very, very well on this brush. It's going to hold the color. Oh, I'm still got wet here. And it's going to allow the moisture to be held on the brush. There's nothing more frustrating than when an artist takes a brand new synthetic brush, puts it down, and you have all these puddles. I can't think of anything more annoying in the world than having all these puddles. But let me put down some color with this so that you get a feel for it. I'm going to use some fluid acrylic. That's what this is. This is fluid acrylic, which is my new favorite medium. I just think it's terrific. And what I'm going to do is show you how nicely this covers. Now, I have a molding paste under this, so I wanted to show some grooves, which you're getting right over here. You're getting some grooves and some heights out of it. Now, look how beautifully that goes on. No bubbles, no streaks. Good old Silver Silk 88. Does it every single time. Not only is this a great value of a brush, it's extraordinary quality. It truly is. And I made it deliberately to paint with these new mediums. New mediums are like flow acrylics, which you will never see me use again because I wore it all the way home because it's just too loose for me. I'm just not practiced enough. And you can also, my favorite is fluid acrylics with it. So this is a brush that you'll be able to use for all kinds of water-based material. That's our Silver Silk 88. That's what I love about that brush. Another wide brush to paint with, which also will hold its color forever, and this is going to hold up probably, I have people using this. This is our Ruby Satin brush. And Ruby Satin is a very unique series. It's got nice bounce on that. There's a handle on it. There's our Ruby Satin. And what's important for you to know is this too comes with a triple epoxy barrier within the ferrule. And I have people that I gave prototypes to of this brush in 1995, and they are still using it. Isn't that amazing?
The same brush.
The same exact brush, because that's the durability. That's the really it's so extraordinarily long lasting. And you know, it's rare when you can look at something and say, will I be able to utilize this for years to come? And with these brushes, they always will. My favorite story is about the pruning shears. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before. In 1970, my husband told me to take the pruning shears. I bought the cheapest one I could find in the gardening center. He told me to take it back and go get the most expensive one. The cheap one that I bought was $1.99. I ended up spending $3.99. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that's an awful lot of money. I still use the pruning shears. He just cleaned them up for me, and I still have them. We are the budgeters. Women are the budgeters in the household. We're always trying to stretch our bucks. I understand that. But if you do spend a little bit more, and I'm not talking about $20, I'm talking about a lot less, you'll have a brush that'll last you for years. And what happens when you have a wonderful brush is that you have a wonderful painting experience. And that's what art should be to you. Brushes are the extension of your hand, and you should be enjoying it. That's what we want for you. So let's get you the right product for what you're doing. This is our Ruby Satin. I'm going to lay down some color with it, and just as background, I have all background brushes today because I did want to show you the different ways that it goes on. So Ruby Satin is going to be a little tougher. It's going to hold a little more. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow gouache here. I thought I'd show you a variety of paint and show you how nicely Ruby Satin holds it. Look how beautifully that covers. Now I'm using it straight out of the palette. You certainly can water it down. You certainly can mix it up with other colors. I'm using this straight out of the palette. I just squeezed this gouache right into the palette, and here I am just putting it right on my surface, which has a covering of matte gloss and matte gel, and it's the molding paste type of thing. Notice how beautifully that goes down. Okay, so we have lots of alternatives to put down background color, and it's always important. I mean, depending on what you're doing, depending on what you're painting, it's important for you to know that you can depend on these brushes for you to paint with. Now that's using that, and of course nothing's ever going to happen to this brush. You're going to be able to have this years and years to come. The mark of the brush is very important. When you put your brush down and you make the right mark, that's what's so exciting. When you have to fight with the brush to put the color down, that's not exciting.
So when you say mark, because we have some beginners on here and we have some experts. Peggy Harris is here, by the way.
Hey Peggy, how you doing?
just define that term, what you mean when you say your mark.
Okay, so the mark is, that's a very good question, by the way. The mark is the stroke that you're going to do. Suppose you want to put, this is some fluid acrylic, which is one of my favorites. And suppose you wanted to show somebody what you can do with this particular brush. This is the mark that you're going to make. You're going to make it so that it does exactly what you imagined in your head it's going to do. You don't want to have any surprises. If this didn't do this kind of thing, then I would go and look at it and say, oh, yeah, I didn't want to do that. Why are you doing that? That becomes a non-favorite brush. That becomes something, oh, this is going to be a pain in the neck. I don't think I'm really going to use this too much. And that, you know, who wants that? I mean, you paid all this money for it. Why don't you want to use it all the time? The advantage of this and doing the right mark for you is, you know, exactly what you prepared it to do, what you wanted to do. That's exactly what it can do. So I'm just doing this. Obviously, it's not covering as well as I would like it to, and so I have to go to a different color. But I'm going to get another brush that's going to show you also how to do more background color. So we've got lots of different brushes here that we're doing for background color, and I thought I would show you some fun things with stencils too.
Just before we get to that,
sure.
So just to be clear, that's a wood panel
yep.
that you just moved
that's
over
here.
That's
a wood panel.
And this is a canvas.
That is correct. That's a canvas.
And what media did you use underneath?
Underneath I used I used a gel medium that's more like a modeling paste, and on this is a this is soft gel gloss.
Soft gel gloss. Okay,
yeah, soft
great.
Gel gloss. Okay.
Yep.
And then I thought I would show you some other things that you can do with our brushes that are also for painting. This is a watercolor paper that I have here, but what I have here are some tracing, some stencils. Again, you know, I've always been clear that I'm not an artist, so if you want great things to come out of me, no, you're going to get great brushes, but you're not going to get great art. I'll leave that to the Earlene Pagets, the Peggy Harris, the Debbie Coles, the Cinnamon Coonies. They'll do great stuff for us. The John Sandin, Amy Sherrills, they're the wonderful artists. What I'm here to do is show you a better brush, and get better bang for your money. So we recently introduced the short handle Bristle-On series. It's a very, very stiff series.
By the way, we have a question from Bonnie Winkleman about what the best brushes are for heavy-bodied acrylics. This would be one, the Bristle-On.
Bristle-On would be one. Ruby Satin. Ruby Satin's going to last you forever. Remember about some
of good for heavy-bodied acrylics.
Very good. But also, let's talk about heavy-bodied acrylics. Let's talk about some medium. Some of them are very heavy, and you need something that really carries them over the surface. You need a brush that carries the medium over the surface. What you will do eventually is wear out the brush, especially if you're painting on something very, very rough, like this. This almost feels like sandpaper. That was one of the reasons why I did this. You could see, I don't know if you could see that, but there's like little pebbles in that. And it's very, very rough on a brush. I would use our Ruby Satin on this and our Bristle-On, which I will show you on this in a minute. Matter of fact, what I can do is show it to you like this. So you need something that's going to put down the color and not get worn out quickly. So I have this big brush, which I'm actually not going to use for that. Well, maybe I can use it. Yeah, I guess I can use that. This is the Bristle-On short handle. This is a very, very large size. So in terms of the stiffness of synthetic filaments at Silver Brush, this is the most stiff. This is the most stiff because it just is. It's the way it is. Use it in any water-based material and nothing's going to happen to it. It's very, very long-lasting, very durable. Really a strong brush.
And that is our #1 selling synthetic brush.
Okay.
Second best selling brush in our company. So it's certainly very, very popular, the Bristle-On.
Right.
And the third most popular is the Ruby Satin.
Ruby Satin. Remember, we started with the Bristle-On in long handle. I started this many, many years ago in 2000. So it's actually, in long handle, it's 20 years old. Just this year, got smart, we finally came out with it in short handle. So, and that's it's really exciting. It's a very exciting brush. But what I did want to do is show you how easy it is to manipulate and put down some background color. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to grab some fluid acrylic. Maybe I'll grab a regular acrylic. This is regular acrylic color. Let's see if I can get that all in there. I need a bigger, wider. There you go. Got a little bit of that. And I'm going to put that over here and just give you an idea of how pretty and nicely that covers the background. And there we have almost something that looks like something. Doesn't look like something too much, but it almost looks like something. And that would be me. That's my painting. That's how good I am. But let me show you how beautifully this does go over that pebbly background canvas. Now this is a very, very stiff background that I'm painting over. And notice how nicely I can get color to flow right over it. No pebbles, no puddles, no little bubbles, nothing like that. And you can get the color to go right over it. So this is canvas, but remember I'm also showing you some board. Now let's see, did this dry? Very nice, thank you. And here I have a board. And with the board, you need something that's stiffer, that's going to hold the color and take it over a board. You don't want to use something too soft, because if it's too soft, it's actually going to squish down, and you're not, which is a technical term, by the way.
Squish down?
Squish down.
That's an industry term.
That's an industry term, yeah. But it's going to be very, very soft on here. You actually want something to give it something to stand up for, and that's our bristle on. Take something a little bit smaller, a little more maneuverable for me, and let's put it into again into some acrylic, if I can find any over here. This is fluid acrylic. I guess I didn't take out as much as I really wanted to. Let's go like this. Let's take that out, and we're going to use. I guess what I'll use is some gouache, and put that gouache on here. I'm using only water media. I really don't use oil media when I'm demonstrating, because I really can't manage it, to be honest with you. I really find it very difficult because of the base of it, because it's a solvent base, and I find it hard to not get paint all over myself.
So that's another bristle-on short handle?
It is. This is a bristle-on. Yes.
This was the large one that you used before.
That's correct.
This is that an angle or?
That isn't the new angle.
Yeah, okay.
See that beautiful new angle?
Yeah.
And so what you get is marvelous lines and drawings. And if I don't like that, of course, I can cover that all over with background color, and then reutilize this board again. But I figured it would be nice to show you a bunch of different surfaces to paint on and make it interesting for you, so that you can see, a lot of these things, wood painting's been going on for years and years and years. We all know that. And for years, tall and decorative artists have been using wood to paint with. And I'm just going to do some background painting over here, and just do some over here. And this, I'm just covering the background over here. But I'm using a watercolor, which I probably shouldn't be doing. I really should be using an acrylic color. And what is important is that you can see the ridges, which I really wanted you to see. I wanted you to see the ridges of in the brush surface yourself. You see the ridges? That's from the medium that I use for the background. Get some clean water over here.
This will be the end, Mom.
Oh.
It really flew by today.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I have more. As I said, I have a lot to talk to you about. Yeah.
2 weeks
I always have more and more. So I do want to show you something kind of exciting that we are coming out with very, very shortly, probably for the new year. Working with Peggy Harris, we do have new sets that we have had in our line for a very long time, but it's all new packaging. And this is Peggy's artwork, It's on the back. Of course, we have it listed on the back of all of the packages. This is her beautiful artwork. And this is some of the artwork you can do with our Ultra Mini series. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out.
Just in time for Halloween.
Just in time for, yeah, this is perfect for Halloween, isn't it? And this is some of her beautiful flowers. And of course, her name is mentioned on the back of it. And she uses our Ultra Mini brushes extensively. And we've been honored to work with Peggy for I don't know how many years. And I do want to note that she's featured on all of our Ultra Mini sets. I'd like to thank you all very much for coming today. I hope you learned something.
Some free stuff. Hold on.
Excuse
Forget
me.
about the giveaway.
The giveaway.
I know everyone else did not forget. All right. So what do we do with that case? This is the one we're giving away.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So first of all, the case is going to Jane Dawes. So congratulations, Jane. We'll send you off the case. Just send us a text and we'll make sure we get your email address. So send us your email address if you win. Sorry, everybody, here's my head. And we will get your contact information. The next set is this one. So this is the one with the silver white. Could you hold that, please? Mom?
Sure.
Thank you very much. And the winner for that is Tina Vandenbroek. Congratulations. Tina's in Wyoming. And then the last one is this set. That's these three. And that's going to Priya Subhami. So congratulations, Priya. She's in Chennai, India.
Wonderful.
So we have winners all over the world. Congratulations, everybody.
The only brush I didn't show you today was our cutter over here, and that you would use for any kind of lacquering and varnishing. Great brushes. These really are very exciting. I hope you all enjoy everything that you've got.
Take that so I remember.
Sure.
So thank you, everybody. We're back again in 2 weeks from today, November 5th. That's a Thursday. And same time, 12 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. I don't know what time that is in India. Maybe 9:30, 7:30, something like that.
Later.
Later. But thank you all very much. You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you very much for coming today. I really
All right.
appreciate your time.
Thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Take care.